Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for joining us. My name is Vera Yordanova, and I'll be your host today. Our agenda for today, we'll be learning how hybrid cloud is driven by today's trends, and we'll give a quick introduction to Tiger Bridge and talk about some customer success stories that you can use as examples. And here are our amazing speakers for today. We have Mirjana Tashkova from Strategic Alliances, Paul Reeve from Sales, and Georgie Atze from our technical sales team. Following the main presentation, we'll be answering questions. My colleague Zdravko will be moderating this session. You can ask your questions in the Q&A window at any time. For privacy reasons, this session is being recorded, and the recording and presentations will be shared after the presentation, after the webinar. So with this, let's get started. Off to you, Mirjana.
Hello, everyone. I'm just briefly popping into the screen to say hi. I'm Mirjana Tashkova, Strategic Alliances Lead at Tiger Technology. Before we dive into the topic of today, which is how to leverage on the growth in the hybrid cloud storage market, I'll give you a brief overview of who we are. Switching off my camera now. So Tiger Technology is a Bulgarian-based software development company that focuses on designing solutions for the file storage and file data management market. We're a team of about 70 people operating out of Bulgaria, the US, the Middle East, and Western Europe. For the past 6 years or so, we've been focusing on building software for hybrid cloud storage. Our key technology mission is solving challenges for customers with large and growing unstructured data and helping them better utilize cloud services. We serve various customer segments, ranging from consumers to small businesses to large and very large enterprises, and we work with a growing network of channel partners. So turning to some notable industries that we serve. We offer data management solutions across industries. Some of these include construction and engineering, manufacturing, architecture and design, advertising, as well as media and entertainment, and the public sector. Tiger Technology is a validated technology partner of both Microsoft and AWS, and we do partner with all major hyperscalers and other public and private cloud providers, as well as on-premises storage providers. Now, focusing on the Microsoft and Tiger Technology partnership, Tiger has been an independent software vendor partner for Microsoft since 2017. Our products are available on Azure Commercial Marketplace as well as fully transactable offers, and they are Azure benefit eligible solutions. Tiger Technology data management products are completely integrated with Azure Blob Storage, which also includes integration for all Azure Blob Storage tiers. Some joint wins with Microsoft I can mention include British Transport Police, HOK, a major architecture agency, Helios in healthcare, City London Police, Amana Construction, among many others. Now, let's get back to today's topic, which is hybrid cloud and the boom in hybrid cloud storage. If we could go over to the next slide, please. Hybrid cloud is very much here to stay, which follows the initial hype around completely lifting and shifting workloads to the cloud and the subsequent disappointment, or partial disappointment, I should say. In fact, global research and consultancy firm Gartner has just identified hybrid cloud storage as a top trend in enterprise data storage for 2025. There are a number of key reasons for this. Hybrid cloud storage is characterized by the seamless integration of on-premise and cloud resources. It can connect storage across locations, enable on-demand increase in capacity. It preserves performance of legacy on-premises systems and can help standardize storage. To illustrate the importance of the hybrid cloud storage trend, the 2024 Gartner Cloud and Hybrid Infrastructure Survey shows that the overwhelming majority of infrastructure and operations leaders are actively managing or planning to adopt hybrid infrastructure within the next year. Now, what are the reasons behind the increase in the percentage of hybrid cloud adoption or deployments? There are a few. Starting with the explosive growth in unstructured data. More and more file data in data at large is being generated on premises as well as at the edge, and enterprises need a way to store and effectively manage these growing data sets. Another reason for this is the enterprises increasingly looking at AI and AI workflows. Hybrid cloud can be the enabler for on-premises data connection to AI cloud services and the back and forth between the two environments. Hybrid cloud is a way to provide a global namespace as well, which unifies edge, cloud, and on-premises deployments. And last but not least, I&O leaders are looking to optimize their data storage costs, so hybrid cloud does enable them to store strategically. What are some characteristics of bridging cloud and on-prem storage? First of all, as mentioned, it does connect data across locations, on-prem, edge, and the cloud. It fits diverse workflows, therefore increasing flexibility considerably. Naturally, as it uses cloud services, it is instantly scalable and a way to increase capacity on demand and improve management of storage operations. Here lies the challenge. Organizations want the cost, the scalability factor, and the innovation of cloud infrastructure providers, but many of them running mission-critical workloads cannot abandon their critical stable legacy systems. Hybrid cloud could be the ideal model, but without a bridge between the two worlds, two major problems persist. The first one is there is simply a workflow mismatch. Cloud requires or uses objects as data units, whereas on-premises applications do not speak object. They require file access and protocols such as NFS. And introducing hybrid cloud can also lead to fragmentation. So data generated in one environment, say on premises, it may be difficult to leverage in another environment, therefore limiting business insights. Tiger Technology has developed software that addresses these two underlying challenges when it comes to adopting hybrid cloud. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to my colleague, Paul Reeve, who is going to take you through Tiger Bridge, our file data management offering, and share a couple of success stories with joint Tiger and Microsoft customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mirjana. And I will just say hi to everybody briefly before I start my part of the presentation. So yes, my job is to explain a little bit about how Tiger Bridge can enable you to build hybrid cloud environments between your on-premise storage and Azure Blob storage. So it is a software solution. So the beauty of that is it can install on your existing infrastructure without requiring any significant changes. And then it will allow you to intelligently move data from your on-premise storage to any of the tiers within Azure Blob Storage, or indeed between the hot and the archive cold tiers in Azure as well. So that's how we can help you build a scalable, intelligent solution between on-premise and cloud. So let me tell you about some of the other principles of Tiger Bridge. So we designed Tiger Bridge to have minimal, if zero, impact on day-to-day users for their system. So in a typical Tiger Bridge installation, users will continue to access their existing file shares, their existing storage, without having to make any changes to their day-to-day operation. And as we mentioned, we've reduced the complexity of installing Tiger Bridge by making it a software component that installs on your existing infrastructure. So we're not adding new servers, we're not adding new processes. Everything should remain the same as your existing infrastructure and your existing software. Critical to, I think, a Tiger Bridge installation is that there is no vendor lock-in of the data. So we store data natively in its current format. This is critically important because it means even without Tiger Bridge, you have complete access to your data through any application that can access the blob storage. And as Mariana mentioned, if customers are considering AI in the cloud, it means that they can actually use the data that Tiger's put in the cloud to run through AI applications without having to worry about any changes. Tiger Bridge is storage agnostic, so it works with practically any on-premise infrastructures that you may have. And as we've mentioned, very flexible in terms of the cloud deployments. So let's talk about some of the use cases that you would typically use Tiger Bridge for. So the first one we're going to touch on is capacity expansion. So the concept here is that you would move your less frequently accessed on-premise data to maybe a cool tier in Azure Blob. So your on-premise infrastructure remains for your hot data, your cool data, less frequently accessed is in the immediate tier in the cloud. But there is also the option to move data further into the archive or cold tiers in the cloud if the data is not really accessed at all, but needs to be kept for compliancy or other reasons. The second use case is disaster recovery. This is a very straightforward use case. Essentially, all that happens is you're using the cloud to make a second copy of your data, a second protected copy of your data. Tiger Bridge does this through something called continuous data protection. So as a file is created on premise, it can be immediately copied and protected in the cloud. The last use case we're going to touch on is global file access. So this is a scenario whereby you might want to use your cloud storage as a central repository for multiple site locations. And again, Tiger Bridge enables this by allowing you to have Tiger Bridge instances on multiple servers in different locations that actually access and share data across the same blob storage. This also comes with file locking to ensure that you've got, protection of files. If somebody's editing it, it can't be edited and saved over. And I will talk a little bit more about this in the use case. So the business deliveries that Tiger Bridge give you, well, it gives you that flexibility to have your on-premise and in-cloud data and the policies behind that to move the data intelligently between the tiers. It is a SaaS usage model, so it's largely a pay-as-you-go, but with reserved capacity options for those people that are going to use larger capacities in the cloud. And it is an unbundled service, so we sell it separate from cloud storage. So you are free to use your own Azure accounts, and you use your own Azure services, plus any pricing advantages that you have available to you under that. And you can just simply have the Tiger Bridge as a separate product. So just quickly, where to position Tiger Bridge based on what we've been discussing so far. So clearly mission critical workflows. This is the continuous data protection. A lot of our customers, whether they be in media and entertainment, video surveillance, or construction, policing, etc., they want a immediate second copy of data for protection before they start working on it or as they're working through it. You certainly would position Tiger Bridge if you've got legacy applications and legacy infrastructure, which of course, as Mariana said, may not be easy to lift and shift into the cloud. So you can still keep all of that core on-premise capability and use the cloud for any of the kind of use cases that we've just touched upon. If you've got customers that need compliance or data sovereignty for sensitive data, again, this is a very good use case where you can put data into the cloud, keep it for very long periods with all the amazing data protection and other capabilities that come with cloud object storage. Clearly, from what we've been discussing, this is an opportunity to talk to customers who are considering cloud, that they could make a gradual cloud adoption. So they can start small, they can work up to using more of the cloud as they become used to its functionality and benefits to the business. And they will be able to then mix and match their environments for the different data types. We've talked a little bit about tiering, balance cost versus performance. So this is for customers that are clearly looking at their on-premise data and thinking, I've got a lot of older data or less frequently accessed data here that is basically causing me problems with my day-to-day applications. So there's an opportunity to tier off less frequently used or archive data to the cloud. And of course, there's a couple of that says there's a couple of use cases here. We've talked about the capacity expansion. So if you're looking at that from your primary application point of view, that's your opportunity to burst into the cloud if you're running short of capacity on premise. Or, of course, you've got that capability to use it from a secondary purpose, i.e. a DR or something in the cloud. So any of those use cases are valid for Tiger Bridge. So let's just talk about a couple of examples that we've done with Microsoft. The first we're going to talk about is a company called Kio, who are a architecture, engineering, and construction company. Their data represents years of architectural engineering excellence, and of course, legal and compliancy data. And they identified the benefit of cloud for kind of two purposes, really: project workflows and backup and archiving of their data. So we mentioned the geo global access that you can use Tiger Bridge for. So Kio have implemented that across 7 of their offices. They can share data in the cloud between any of those offices. So it's A, protected, and B, available at any time to the different locations. And they've also, of course, moved their compliance, legal, and archive data to the more archive tiers in the cloud, where it's again protected and removed from their on-premise infrastructure. So it's really helped them in terms of, creating this kind of vendor independence and improving their productivity and usability. And they have demonstrated some quite remarkable cost of ownership reductions using, Azure Archive for their long-term data storage, as well as, of course, achieving that legal and regulatory compliance. So very good example of pretty much all of the key functions of Tiger Bridge. And then lastly, a project I've been involved in quite a lot is with UK police forces and digital forensics. Digital forensics is becoming a massively difficult challenge for police forces. This is basically where they are taking images of mobile phones, of laptops, and other digital devices, which, of course, as we all know, are getting larger and carrying more and more data. This data is currently typically stored on an on-premise high-performance NAS storage system, like an Isilon, where again it's ingested, it's worked on through the case, and then becomes older data that has to be stored for very, very long-term retention requirements, depending on how serious the case is, whether it's gone to court, whether there's been a prosecution, and the legal requirements of keeping that some of which apparently runs to tens, if not hundreds of years. So this is a massive problem for the police forces. And they've been using Tiger Bridge because it means they don't have to change any of their on-premise infrastructures. They can use Tiger Bridge to move this longer-term data that needs retention for long periods of time directly into the Azure Archive blob storage. We added hash verification for them for file integrity. And the result of this is, of course, that they have now, I think across a number of police forces we're working with, maybe moved anything up to 10 petabytes of data from on-premise to Azure blob storage. So a very significant reduction in their on-premise storage footprint and removing their sort of headaches over backups, archives, and other things. So a very, very successful case study. Now, on that note, I'm going to finish and hand across to my colleague, Georgie Atsev, who is going to do a very brief demonstration of Tiger Bridge capabilities for you. Thank you, Georgie.
Thank you, Paul.
So much. Just
Hope.
stop sharing.
Right. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Vera. Okay, just to quickly introduce myself. I'm Georgi Atsev, technical sales / solutions architect, Tiger Technology. And during today's short demo, I would like to do a quick overview of how Tiger Bridge is configured and what its main features are and how they work. So I'll just stop sharing on my face and share screen. And I hope that everyone can see my screen now.
Yep.
Thank you. So what I'm sharing is the desktop of a usual Windows server. Tiger Bridge runs under Windows, so it's installed on a Windows server, whether it's a Windows file server or just a gateway server would depend on the use case, whether you have a Windows file server as a storage where everybody is working on premises, or just third-party NAS storage. I do have Tiger Bridge already installed and configured. This is the Tiger Bridge configuration UI. And in my case, I have a few sources. Sources are, we call the places where people store data. So a source can be either a whole drive of a Windows file server, it could be just a folder, like in this case, or if it's some third-party NAS, it would be a network location. So I will emphasize on the blue source folder, which is a local source folder on my file server. All the data from this blue source folder would be tiered to, in this case, Azure container, blob container, called demo sync container, depending on the policies which I have already configured in Tiger Bridge. So how do you pair, let's say, the on-premises storage to your cloud target storage? Simply add a new source, select either a drive or just a folder from the server, and then you would have the option to choose whether data would be tiered to a public cloud, like in my case, this is Azure Blob, or an on-premises storage. As you can see, public clouds, we support public clouds that have archive tiers. We also support public clouds that just have a single tier. For on-premises storage, of course, we do support lots of object storage, on-premises cloud storage. We support archive storage and any other locally attached disk devices, network attached disk devices, even LTOs. and recently the Disk Archive Auto system. Now, once you do this, you connect the source. As you can see, in this case, I have entered all my credentials for my Azure storage account. You can list the containers, choose the certain container where you want the data to be replicated to, and then choose the default access tier. You can either choose that it would follow the storage account configuration if you have set cool, hot, or whatever, or changing the storage the tier from TigerBridge would move it to the certain tier in the storage account. Once this is done, then you can start setting up your replication, your tiering policies. So the first policy, maybe which one should set up, is the replication policy. The replication policy, TigerBridge actually works. It looks at the timestamps of the data. So the replication policy would look at the last modified timestamp. And in this case, whenever a user changes a file, saves it, after 3 seconds, this file will be queued for replication and will be replicated if there are no other files to the target storage, in my case, blob in Azure. Then we have the reclaim space policy. As Paul mentioned, one of the use cases is extending file servers. So this is actually the policy which would help you to extend the file server instead of stacking up new storage on premises. You can use the replication policy and free up space on your on-premise storage based on last access time. Like in this case, I have said, okay, if I have not accessed data for 4 weeks in my blue source folder, this data will actually be removed from my on-premise server. It will reside, of course, in blob, and TigerBridge would leave a small stub file, which is a pointer to the real data. And whenever a user opens this stub file, the data will be automatically retrieved back. I mean, the user will not even know whether the data is there or not, seeing the stub file. Then we have the archive policy, once again, another use case which was mentioned by Paul. And once again, the archive policy works with last access timestamps. So in my case, I have set like 70 weeks. So if I have not accessed data for 70 weeks, most likely I would not need to access this whole bunch of data that I have. And it will be moved to archive tier, or in the case with Azure, I can even choose cold tier. And because I will still have a stub file, or I can even have the data on, I can easily rehydrate from the archive tier. As long as the cloud provider like Microsoft Azure supports versioning, you can set up the versioning policy from TigerBridge itself. Either by age, keep versions for a certain period, or by count, just keep the number of versions that you want. In my case, I'm keeping just 2 versions because it's taking up some space in my Azure storage. Then we have the soft delete policy. This is either you can set it from Azure storage account or from TigerBridge. So I can easily undelete, in this case, if somebody accidentally deletes data, I can easily undelete it within 1 week. Quickly going through the settings, there is one function that we have enabled, progressive retrieval, which is enabled by default. This is a very valuable function, especially for people working with large files like video files. Instead of downloading the whole file, you will download only the parts that you play This is just an example with a video file, like buffering just the parts that you play. And then we have the ransomware protection, which basically acts like a fuse. If, for example, I enter 100 files here, if Tiger Bridge detects that 100 files have been modified under 1 second, it will stop replicating, so you have a safe copy in the cloud. Quickly looking at the source itself, because we have a Tiger Bridge shell extension, there are icon overlays that indicate the state of the file, whether it's replicated, the green one, or whether it's a stub file, which is actually 0 bytes on your on-premises storage. And of course, we offer overriding all the policies as long as the administrator has access to the shell extension or the Tiger Bridge server. We do offer a shell extension where you can manually override all the policies that you have, like replication, reclaim space, move to archive, rehydrate, and so on. I hope this quick overview was helpful. So back to Mirjana, was it?
Thank you, George.
Yeah.
Actually, back to
Actually,
Paul
yeah,
to
Vera,
wrap it
sorry.
up. Yeah,
You're right.
I'll
Okay.
share my screen back. Mm. There we go.
Thank you, Vera. Thank you, Georgie. That's a very good overview. I think we only touched on some of the key points around Tiger Bridge, but I think it's enough to give everybody a really good idea of how some of the things we've been talking about are delivered in practice. So my job is just to give a quick, thank you, Georgie, to give a quick recap on what you can use Tiger Bridge for. So I think as we've demonstrated, it will allow you to win very large size projects in regulated industry like the public sector, healthcare, oil and gas, video surveillance, those areas where data compliance is critical, where there's very large sets of data that can really benefit from the capability of cloud storage. I think we've also hopefully shown that you can help enable customers to optimize their resources, particularly around legacy applications, keeping their hot, immediately required data on premise and their cooler and cold data in the cloud. And it also allows them to adopt the cloud at their own pace. So there isn't a immediate decision that says we have to put everything in the cloud or we keep everything on premise. There is an ability here to be able to say, well, let's try the cloud for these purposes and see how it works over time. We've also mentioned this cloud AI adoption. So there are a lot of AI services now running in the cloud, and by virtue of the fact that we store the data in a native format, we can put it into the cloud where again it can be moved or triggered across into AI applications that you want to run on those particular data sets without again really having to change any of your on-premise workflows or have a major interruption to your existing operations and infrastructure. So those are some of the key points on what we can achieve there. Our benefits to Azure partners. Well, I think as Mirjana mentioned, we are a trusted Microsoft partner with extensive storage expertise. We work very, very closely with Microsoft teams across all of the world. We work happy to work with any of them or any of you doing proof of concepts or other things that will enable you to show customers how they can make best use of TigerBridge and Microsoft. We do offer a storage assessment service that can be a valuable first step for customers. Basically, we run a small analytical tool on their on-premise storage to identify which data sets could easily benefit from being moved to the cloud. And that can also, of course, allow you to build those kind of cost management benefits as well. We have a integration of our software offers on Azure Marketplace, which again can allow you and or customers to simplify their billing and procurement. And of course, putting all those things together allows you to be able to drive your Azure revenues as a Microsoft partner. So I think next steps, obviously we'll get a copy of the presentation. If you would like to schedule a follow-up meeting with any of us as a result, please email us at sales@tiger-technology.com, or you would be able to go on our website and ask for a demo or demonstration software. And then we would be delighted to work with you to look at, what opportunities we might be able to address together and how we might be able to build some good revenue opportunities. So